All right, Jess, give her bud.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 9 of the Maritime Hockey Podcast. Jesse here with Eric, Ben, Nick, and Christopher. Today we're gonna get into some NHL stats, recapping some series wins in Game 6 of the Leafs and Habs, and then we got a very special, important story coming up. So let's talk about that Leafs Game 6. How are we feeling?
What isn't the
Greg,
the
you
man
go
with
ahead,
the
man, because Greg's the Habs fan here,
Greg,
and
give her.
give us the Habs side of everything.
I think the storyline that is starting to come up now among the NHL is just the value of having fans in attendance and the mental impact that has on players.
Yeah.
2,500 people isn't a lot. Like that's like a Moosehead game or something, probably less than that even. But just having them there, I think that gave the guys a boost that they needed. But, watching the game, like Toronto just looked like they were sluggish. And I don't know if that's an impact of, having those actually hearing fans cheer for the other team and that sort of thing. But, Carey Price, it's kind of nervous when he came back from his injury. Because I was like, I don't know, like everyone's been talking about him being, not as great lately. And, I think he's done really well, and getting some of those other guys to score like Toffoli and a few of those other ones, maybe it'll energize them. Unfortunately for Toronto fans, it really sets up for another, like hockey has a weird way of creating stories that you can almost predict so far in the future. And it's like another Game 7 for Toronto where they could have closed it out twice now. And it's like, man, is this going to end the same way it has, or will they kind of go back and actually prove people wrong?
Yeah, I saw today that they tried to get fans in Toronto's rink and they got rejected by the government. So they're going with big goose egg for fans.
Yeah, Ford said not in my house.
They got to take a page out of the WWE, right? Get all those, get the big screens up with like all the people.
Like the Toronto Maple Leafs universe or whatever. It's it's interesting too, talking about them trying to get fans like after the Habs had 2,500 there yesterday, and the ones that they were trying to get for the Leafs tomorrow night are people that are fully vaccinated. They're not even regular citizens, regular people. It's they actually try to get frontline workers like nurses and stuff and doctors in there, and they still said no, which I found that interesting as well.
Yeah, that's crazy. I actually can't it's funny that you bring that up because I saw that too, and I'm just like, man, what a kick in the nuts for Toronto. Like not only Toronto as a team, but like just the fans and stuff, and just like the city itself, because you're already on such a low from how this series is shaped out. And it's like, I mean, realistically, you look at the series and you're just like, man, Toronto should have won. There's no way that this should have been the Game 7. And now you're waltzing into Game 7 at your home rink, going from 2,500 fans in Montreal, and it was loud, to absolutely no one. And Montreal's got the swagger, man. They're coming in hot.
It's tough too. Like Toronto, like if you look at it, like Spezza and those guys are stepping up, and guys that like have been around throughout the season or like were like the stars like maybe like 5-10 years ago when we were like kids, are stepping up. But like if you look at some of the highlights of like Marner and Matthews, like they just looked like they had no idea what they were doing out there. And like Leafs defense played great too, and so did Jack Campbell. Muzzin, like that play where they were coming in on the 3-on-1, and he just shut down that lane and was like, all right, this is on you to make the save. And it worked. Like great defense by the Leafs, but they didn't have that explosive. And I don't think it's nerves or jitters, but it just seems like when high pressure situations happen, maybe less so Matthews, but like Marner seems like he kind of crumbles a bit.
Yeah. Oh, he's absolutely invisible in this series.
He's losing it out there.
he's a Bantam player out there right now. Like he doesn't, what do you think there, Big Daddy Mac, on this one?
I think Marner's series has been summed up with what he did last night. Just lobbing the puck down, Nick going right out of play. That's been his entire series right there. Like you seen him like looking like right into the camera like this when he was in the penalty box, and like he just looked so disappointed. But I mean, unpopular opinion, I honestly believe he's a better player than Matthews. Take away Matthews' shot, I do believe that he is a better player than Matthews. I'll receive something on that, but both of them aren't playing to what they, we got a 41 goals. Matthews scored. What does he have? He has one in game 2 or something like that. And a couple of assists, just like Marner, a couple of assists, but they're just not showing up how they did in the regular season, at least.
You're gonna boost the comments on that.
Yeah, probably
that little chirp right there. We're gonna get a.
But you got like Joe Thornton, Alex Galchenyuk. He's been really good this. He has like 5 points or something like that in the series. Spezza. Who's another one? Kerfoot. Yeah, I really like Wayne Simmons playing. He hasn't been getting like a whole lot of points, and he's just finishing the checks and everything like that. That's why.
Willie too.
Yeah. Nylander. Yeah. He had a 4-goal game or 4-goal series going. Goal streak. But I mean, I agree with Billy. This series should have been over. Yeah. When they played when it was 3-1, but it's not. So there's really no excuse. But Montreal's got the balls going into this one, so I got them winning it. Absolutely.
And it's interesting too, like when it comes to playoff hockey, like you always see like interviews where like players will be like, yeah, playoff hockey is so different, and it's because like it's high pressure, like every game could change the deficit that you're in. You might go down 3-1, or as soon as that happens you're pretty much toast in most cases, or you are kind of trading games back and forth. Like there's so many different scenarios that you can get into, but like it almost like I had this theory that like, and I've seen it with like other pros, like, like you ever played with a guy who it's like that guy's giving like 80% of what he can do, but he hasn't quite turned on the extra 20. He could at any time, but just hasn't. I feel like some people, like those teams that you wouldn't expect, like Winnipeg and some of those other ones, like it's almost like there's like a sleeper factor in some of those teams where it's like, okay, playoffs, we know things are a little more intense. Let's give it 100% because we didn't have to do that during the season because we were still able to win. It just makes you wonder, because like a team like Edmonton, Mike Smith was great. They have great players, but then other teams just have more guys going to the full extent of their abilities consistently than other teams. Like it's almost like this like unwritten thing in the NHL that all the pros know what's happening, but when you look at it, you're like, man, like Edmonton, like sorry Ben, like Edmonton, it's like, oh man, it's like I don't even know if it's that they choke. Like look at Darnell Nurse, like the amount of time that he played. It's just they don't have enough people who can push that extra percent to make up for teams who are like, let's spend our extra 20% shutting down McDavid and cutting off all of his passing or shot attempts, because they kept throwing sticks in front of him and he couldn't get a shot off. And like that was smart.
They took a lot of video stuff from Montreal, to be honest, because Montreal shut down McDavid all year long, and I'm kind of bouncing all over the world here, but I think Toronto just hasn't gotten, like, they don't have that oomph right now. I personally think, and like my pick as of right now, and I don't really have a horse in the race here, I got Habs in double overtime, 4-4. They score.
Oh my God.
5-4. I'm going Habs, man. I'm going with the underdog. I'm going with the underdog here because they're playing harder than the Leafs right now.
They want this series really
bad.
Want
it. They want it bad. And they want to go back home and have
like
more
you look
fans.
at the series and it's like whoever wins this goes to play Winnipeg, right?
Yeah.
And it's like there's even just looking at it right now, it's like the way that Winnipeg played, like whoever's going to make it through is going to get absolutely dusted, or maybe not. Because like I look at Montreal and I'm like, for the whole entire Canadian division, these teams are great playing against each other all year. Yeah. But what happens when you stick them up against one of the best, like the
Boston
Avs
or something?
Like that, they're going to roll them over. Like it's going to be such an interesting playoffs because the Canadian teams might look really good, but then they might look like a junior team playing against a national team when it comes to the mix of the different divisions.
I really hope it doesn't come to that. I want a Canadian team to take home the cup for once. It's been a hot minute.
To Canada.
It's been a hot minute.
I think Montreal fan, I'd be fine if Toronto won the cup. Like
I'd be fine with that, but I want Montreal to win it more. Jesse, what do you think there, big man?
Yeah, I think in the first period, the Leafs did not play good at all. I think the Habs were all over them. I remember talking to my dad, like I said in previous episodes, he's a Leafs fan. And he's like, man, Toronto, what are you doing? Like, this isn't how you usually play. And then he's like, the Habs are on you like a swab of flies. And
It's true.
and as much as I wanted the Leafs to win, I thought in that overtime when they were outplaying the Habs a lot in that overtime, I'm like, Toronto's gonna take it. And then I just see Kotkaniemi come down, beautiful shot. And I'm like, well, that's probably the same.
Bad turnover from Dermott too.
Yeah.
Really bad. I feel bad because he generally just lost it. He didn't mean to. It just slid off the arse of his blade.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who picked it up. What was it, Foley or something?
I don't know.
And just chipped it to Kotkaniemi.
You gotta get that
reamed. I don't know who's getting reamed an asshole more. Younger, maybe you can answer this one. Is it McDermott doing that, coughing up the puck, or is it the coach's challenge on Sheldon Keefe?
That's right.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little later.
No, that is right.
I think, from what you guys are hearing, we're all on the same page. I think I think the game was very up and down. Like, Greg, you probably, you watch the Habs probably a lot more than most of us here on this episode tonight. Montreal, they came out hard, man. They came out flying. They got those 2 quick goals. They got that, getting that first goal was huge. Their power play finally clicked, which was great to see. I think Tyler Toffoli's been an amazing pickup for the Habs this season. I think he's kind of gone under the radar since they signed him there in Montreal. And like what Jesse was saying, I think that, you got to give it to the Leafs. They did battle back and they finally got their shit together and they forced it into overtime. But it just shows you, boys, one bounce. It's like what Greg was saying, playoffs is a different breed, and especially in overtime. One bad bounce and Kotkaniemi sniped it. And, Jack Campbell, you guys can take it, what I'm going to say here with a grain of salt. I think Campbell could have had that. I don't know. I'm not a goalie.
Tipped in front.
It was a tipped in front. At the same time, you're like, shit, I'm not a goalie. Maybe I probably couldn't have stopped that either. But you got, even if the Habs do lose tomorrow night, boys, like, you got to fucking give it to the Habs, man. They've done an amazing job taking this team of the Leafs with, the star power that they have, even though it's not really clicking right now, to Game 7. And even if the Leafs fucking win tomorrow night, the Habs should not have their head down. They battled hard, man. They, had a lot of injuries coming into the playoffs. They got a lot of guys back, Gallagher and Price doing that AHL little 2-day trip thing. And I think that, it's gonna be a fun Game 7. I love those 2 words, man. Game 7 in the playoffs, and I've never seen, or I was maybe on this planet, but I don't physically remember a Game 7 between the Habs and the Leafs in a long time. And just being able to watch this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, and
the Canadians too, like guys like Kotkaniemi and like Caulfield and Suzuki, like you have media who are like, oh, like these are the future of the Canadians, and it's going to take a while for them to get there, and by then maybe Weber and Price and some of those guys might be gone, but like seeing the way that even Kotkaniemi played well, but the chemistry between Suzuki and Caulfield, and just seeing how Caulfield's been able to play at his size already in just a few games, like it might be a lot sooner than they think. Like they could go for a run next year if they get the right pieces. But like that save that Price made with his toe before it went the other way, like
unreal.
That was inches from ending the game, right? Like that could have completely changed.
Yeah, it just shows you too, like, just one. Yeah, the Leafs. I thought the Leafs, Jesse. I'm like you, but I thought it was like, yeah, Leafs are gonna, snipe it here. They're gonna, they're gonna win it. They're gonna go on to the second round here, and just that one fuck up caused them the series. And the only people you can blame is themselves. And I think we should get into that coach's challenge. That coach's challenge was it took way too long for Toronto to make a decision. They should have probably got to play a game penalty on that play, on Keith taking so long. And I'm so happy that it went the Habs' way, because that was not a goaltender interference. Jack Campbell made the save. He was on his belly. He was starfished. And the player that was, I don't know, I can't remember what Hab player it was. He was tied up with the Leafs defenseman. And Campbell put him in that situation. And I'm so happy that it went the right way. And whoever the guys in Toronto was that made that call deserves a beer, man. They did the right call.
Yeah. And it's so weird because there's almost no baseline. Like sometimes it's goalie interference, sometimes it's not. They don't provide like an actual. Yeah. It's not always the same thing. Always like you see it all the time on Instagram. People pissed off because it counted as a goal, right? I was really happy with that outcome.
Yeah.
Like as a goalie, like you would know, like. I think the interesting thing, I think the call would have gone the other way had Campbell tried to make a diving save and was blocked by him.
Totally agree.
Totally would have been called off. It's the fact that he kind of gave up on that play, which, like, if you're in that situation as a goalie, I feel like you always should. But it makes you wonder, too, how much influence does front office have on coaches' challenges? Because I think might have been Montreal, like in another game in the series, or it could have been another team so far where, someone made a coach's challenge, but it's like the coach wasn't 100% on board with it, but it was maybe head office being like, I think it may have been Bergevin who did it. Like, no, that's goaltender interference with Joe Thornton, his stick on his pad. And it was like, clearly that wasn't, and you could tell that they were like, but he had to do it. It just makes you wonder if maybe Sheldon didn't want to call it as well and was forced to.
Yeah, and I think too, that whole, like Greg, what you're saying, I think that whole 5 minutes of them scoring that goal on the power play and then having the coach's challenge, and then you go on the power play again, you're like, shit, it's kind of deflating as a player for me. If I was sitting on the Leafs bench, you just got a goal against, and then you're like, I'm going on the PK again, and they scored again. You know what I mean? They scored on that penalty that. From the coach's challenge, and it was just a big snowball effect. I think the Leafs maybe should have won that game because they were out playing the Habs. But you know what? At the end of the day, boys, it's Game 7. I'm so fired up for it. I'm pumped. I was so happy.
That's genuine happiness right there.
Yeah. It's gonna be sick, man. It's gonna be unreal. I think I got Habs. Billy? Who do you got?
Fuck, man. I got Habs. Jess, what do you think?
As much
one way or the other, Jess, you're like, hey, my dad's over here, Montreal's over there.
What do you got,
bro? Well, as much as I want the Leafs to win it, Greg, I'm sorry, I just don't like the Habs. But as much as I want the Leafs to win it, I think Montreal is gonna take it, but. Like you said, Nick, it can go either way. It's 50-50. And if the Leafs do win, good for them. I'll be happy.
Well said, Jesse. I love it, bud. All right, Jess, what do we got? What do we got next? Who are we talking about now?
Knights Wild Game 7.
I think go for it, Nick. Go for it.
I think that Game 7, hope you guys can agree with me. I was like watching it. I was like, okay, this is really back and forth. Going, first and kind of the first period was for sure, and then going to the second period, the floodgates open. Like it was it was like the Knights went into the dressing room and Pete DeVore put some sort of shooting pucks in the net potion in their water bottles like they did in Space Jam. Michael's special stuff, and they started putting the puck in the net in the third period. I was not expecting. That high scoring of a Game 7. And, at the end of the day, boys, the better team won. I think Minnesota, good on them. They took the Knights to Game 7. But I think, I wanted to see a Vegas, Colorado second round. I'm really, really excited for that.
I think a lot of people did.
Yeah.
I think we got a limited time here, but I think I'll give it to Ben and Nick to kind of formally introduce our guest here, and we'll get into Greg's story. So, boys, we're going to hand it over to you and Greg.
Sure.
Yeah, no, well, Gregor, nice. Thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's nice to see you. We haven't seen you in a long time. I know I haven't seen you. We went to high school together, and we're actually family friends. Our grandparents were best friends. Our grandmothers, God rest your grandmother's soul. R.I.P. to Cookie. That was her nickname, guys, just to give you a heads up.
And Nanny Marjorie, but
Nanny Marjorie, yeah. And my nanny and his nanny and Nick's nanny they're all best friends. Greg came out to Edmonton because his grandfather works for Air Canada. They came out and had a little vacay, and my grandparents, I think, came out as well. And we all hung out. And Greg, you can tell stories about when you went to, Rexall Place and all that cool stuff. But yeah, no, it's a wicked honor to have you on, buddy. And we're going to get into Jordan and his story because we want to reach out. His story needs to be told over and over and over again, just to make sure that everyone's getting checked out and staying healthy. And he was at the top of his game, and it was a very sad day. But look at what Greg's going to go into more of what he has brought to people because of what he did have. But it's just an honor to have you on, buddy. And Younger, you can take her from there, bud.
Yeah, Greg, really appreciate you coming on, man. This is a small little podcast that we're doing, having some fun, and having you on here, it really sets the tone for having amazing people and amazing activists in the hockey community. I love you, buddy. You've done some amazing things after Jordan's passing. Just to give some of the viewers a bit of an insight, Jordan's legacy has left a major impact on the hockey community. Greg has made many, impacts in the hockey community, that being with their annual hockey tournament, honored in his memory. Jordan has made major impact on the Kiwi2's, heart and disease clinic as well. With the Jordan Boyd Hockey Celebrity Tournament, they've raised over $906,000, I do believe.
Stick tap.
Guys.
And that was for inherited heart disease research to help prevent sudden death and cardiac arrest. Unfortunately, that's how Jordan did pass. Rest in peace, buddy. I love you. Got a tattoo on my arm for you. Love you.
Right here, buddy.
Yeah. Nova Scotia has the second. Well, isn't it, Greg? The second cardiac arrest, something.
Yeah, like we have a really high rate of cardiac episodes that happen in our province, in Atlantic Canada too. A lot of diseases. One of those things where you kind of wonder if there's a link to different things that are kind of in our environment or whatever. But we do have a lot of that in our community, and at the Kiwi2, there are the top cardiologists in Canada, if not the world in some cases, who work here in Halifax. And not many people know that, but few of them saved my life. It's a really amazing thing what we have here.
Yeah. Just right quick, Greg, just for the viewers, the life-saving research that has helped, for this tournament has taken care of other people's, issues with their hearts as well. And 100% of the net proceeds that Greg and the Jordan Boyd Hockey Celebrity Tournament has been all put aside to help prevent sudden deaths, cardiac arrest. And they also have the Jordan Boyd Foundation as well. Greg, thank you from the bottom of my heart and my team, all of my boys here, Jesse and Chris and Ben and Billy. Thank you for coming on. Kind of you're passing the mic to you, buddy. You're taking the reins on this one and kind of what I missed. And thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks. So I'll just kind of give a little overview of, who Jordan was, his story and kind of what we've done. So, growing up, Jordan, hockey was everything to him. Teachers would even say, if he had a project to stop picking hockey things to pick as your theme, and he never did. He kept going. So I was a Canadiens fan. He was a Leafs fan.
I was going to ask you what his team was. I couldn't remember.
His team was the Leafs, but he liked individual players. Stamkos was his favorite with Crosby. he loved the game. We played road hockey a lot together, and with you guys, and Nick as well. I'd be kind of playing goalie, trying to expose the glove side to try and get that one big save, and he'd love to come out and join when he could. And he went up to Rosse. He trained really hard. He played really well. He was tall. He definitely liked to score, liked to play hard, and he was drafted to the Titan, like the jerseys you see behind Nick and Ben. And unfortunately, at training camp, he was in between drills and he collapsed on the ice. And my parents were up there and realized fairly quickly that something really, really bad had happened. And we didn't know of any heart disease in the family. And unfortunately, he didn't make it. And there's been a lot of coverage on sort of that over the years. And I knew shortly after that, we all sort of got tested, found out that I had a heart condition as well. So I ended up going for about 15 hours of heart surgery here in Halifax to correct something unrelated to what he had, and got some really great care at the QE2. And around the sort of 1 year anniversary of his passing, we said, we want to do something to celebrate his life. It's a tragedy, and we've had some tough times as a family. Losing anyone's difficult, whether they're young or old or known illness or not, or loss is loss, and it's a tough thing to process when you love someone so much. And because hockey was so much of who he was. I was at a friend's place having drinks one night, and it was shortly after the Bedford Barons had done something to tribute Jordan, and they had a patch made. And we went and just kind of hung out with some friends afterwards, and Brad Marchand happened to be there, and Andy Bondarchuk had been there. They were in Bedford at the time, and I just sort of told them, I'd love to have a one-day tournament where we get some guys on the ice, some former friends, and maybe we can do some good. And they said, I'm in. And Jordan had trained with Brad when he was younger. I think I still have Brad's hockey card collection from when he was a little kid, and I think I even have his Bedford Blues card from when Brad played novice. He was a great guy off the ice, and has always supported the family. And a lot of the local pros joined in, and really it took off to something that I never
exploded. It exploded, man.
I thought we would do something in 1 year, and then it just, people kept wanting us to come back. And so the last year we had it before COVID, there was about 12 teams, an all-female team. We had Olympians. We had a team fly over from Beijing to play in the tournament.
Wow.
And we've raised a significant amount of money where we've been able to have some great local sponsorship in the community that make sure that every dollar that someone donates goes to the cause, and there's nothing taken off the top. Because big charities that exist in Canada, sometimes there's it costs money to run them, and I said, if we're doing this, we're going to do it this way, and that's important. And this year we're doing a golf tournament because of COVID.
I was gonna ask you about that. I tried to even register, and it's all booked up, man.
It closed up in 4 minutes. We opened the website up. I had never experienced that, and so it was pretty incredible. So my goal was always to make sure that Jordan would never be forgotten, and as long as his story helped inform other people about inherited heart disease, and we were able to help people along the way, then that was kind of my mission, not just as his brother, but just making sure that I could kind of speak for him. And I actually have I'm just going to reach over here real quick. The QE2 did a wall that honored Jordan about a year or two ago, and they gave me a miniature version of it where
that's sick.
It basically talks about Jordan's story, what we've done, and you see some of the pros that are there, like you have James Neal there, and Brad, and a few other guys, and just talking about the impact. And it's something that is a point of pride for me as his brother, and in a way, just being on the ice that day every year is more important to me than Christmas or or any other event, you feel like you have a connection with him, and seeing his banner up in the stands, and it's like one day you just kind of see all of his friends and people just seeing NHLers wear a jersey that has my brother's name on it. Nothing can explain just how amazing that feels, and how grateful I am. So it's something that as a family we're really proud of, and I think he definitely would have never expected something like this, and would be proud of that as well. And it's just something that means so much to me. So
yeah, he was a big goofball too. He'd probably just look at you and be like, "No,
he was, man. I always find it funny when people look back. When you look back and try and remember someone who's passed away, you always kind of remember. Here's the specific things that I'd like people to know about them. But we had times where he and I would argue about stuff, or had teaching moments, or just like any brother relationship, and I cherish those because none of us are perfect, and we had a lot of times where we were able to talk about things together. And I think I gave him a scar one time playing mini sticks. I hip checked him. He was probably half my size, and I hip checked him into a table to make sure I got the win. But
that's awesome.
That's just part of growing up with a little brother, and something that means a lot to me.
Well, Greg, buddy,
I know he schooled me a bunch of times in the driveway. That's for sure.
Yeah. I went on the ice with him once, one Christmas break when he was back, and I always played defense. The highest level I ever played was host league, so also the lowest level I've ever played. And I was okay, but I went out with him once and we played against each other, and I could tell goes back to that theory that I have of guys only given a certain percent. I knew he wasn't even at half, and he made me look like Bambi out on the ice. And then all the times where it's like, you challenge your brother to a one-on-one in street hockey or whatever, for sure, I'll win. But like on the ice, I knew then and there it was a proud brother moment where it's like, all right, man, like you got me,
Yeah, well, Younger's the one checking himself in the glass too. He's checking himself out going down the ice. He's doing real hockey too. Look at his shadow.
Yeah.
Look at my shadow.
Yeah. Look at his shadow and be like, oh man, I look sick. Holy fuck. From his shadow.
Yeah.
Bro, that's crazy, man.
You guys have any questions for Greg, Jesse? You guys have anything? And we can donate. People can donate at any time on the website there too. Eh?
Yeah,
Hey,
it's
Greg, I saw that.
abchc.ca.
You put it in the link too, I think.
Yeah, we'll put it in the description of the video.
For sure.
Yeah, it all helps a good cause, and I think this year we might hit that $1 million milestone, which would be incredible.
Let's go.
Stick taps all around.
Stick taps, man.
That's fantastic, man. Holy.
Yeah.
But I know we still got lots of hockey left to talk about here. If you want to stick around, Greg and Jess, I know you want to
I'll stick around for a while.
Just really quick to sum up your little story here, with Jordan and all the amazing work you've done, Greg. Again, we thank you for everything you've done. I remember going to the first Jordan Boyd hockey celebrity, and I was, Greg, I'm that little kid, like, I'm 6'4", I'm same, big boy like you. And I was in with all the little kids getting autographs, and just the stuff that you and your family have been doing with, such a tragic loss, and turned it into something amazing, like the Jordan Boyd hockey celebrity tournament. And we love you, man. You're a great soul. I
appreciate it, but it takes a lot of work to put it on, but really none of what we've been able to do could happen without the community. So it's the people who donate and participate and fundraise. They're the ones who make it happen. I just try and put on the best possible event. But it's really, the community that does it. So all the credit goes to them. Yeah.
Hope you're, the golf, I think the golf is just a COVID thing, right? It's not like going to be a regular thing. Hopefully next year you'll be back.
Yeah, I'd love to get back on the ice. I was just telling the guys I just ordered new goalie gear, and I'm waiting for it to come in. And do I ever want to make a save on like Nate or Brad? Or
could you?
Oh my God, y'all the biggest.
I'll just be like, hey, I'll hold the glove out, and you guys just put it in there and make me look good.
Dude, oh
That was
my
good.
At the
God.
same time,
I
you're probably
stripped the
shaking
puck
your
off
hand.
Brad once, and I literally, I said, I passed the puck up, and I was like, "This is great." And I went off the bench, got a bag of popcorn and beer, and sat myself for the rest of the game. I was like, retired.
That's fucking awesome. Dude.
Fun fact about Greg Dobson: he was Mac. He was the original
No.
Mac from the Halifax
was.
Mooseheads.
I
It
was so tall, I had to walk on my knees up in the skybox because my antlers would start pushing on the ceiling blocks. Yeah,
Dude.
I would even sign
Yeah.
autographs like out of costume. You'd shower down in dressing room 3. You'd
Yeah.
walk to give your key to security, and all the players would go out then, and people would recognize key 3 means you're a mascot. So they're like, "You're Mac." They would try and add me on Facebook. I would sign autographs as myself.
Oh
And I
my
would
God.
sign Mac.
Kind of a big deal.
Did you
You're
write
kind of a
Mac?
big
Did you write
deal.
Mac?
I would
or
write
did you
Mac and I'd draw little antlers, but nothing. Like it's amazing. I have a letter that someone wrote when I threw a t-shirt. I tried to throw a t-shirt to this kid. People kept intercepting it. So like the last t-shirt, they always try and play the crowd off each other. I was like, no. So I walked up and I handed it to the kid. Someone was so moved by it that she wrote an email to the GM and sent it, and I printed it off. I was probably in high school, like grade 10 or 11. I've kept it ever since because it's just something that, you're like, wow, what an experience. Like, because, they said it doesn't matter that someone was kind of wearing a mask, but they made it just makes you think about small gestures mean a lot to people, more than you probably think, and something that I've kind of kept with me for a long time. But on that note, there's also a lot of really weird Mooseheads fans, and I've experienced a lot of weird stuff as the mascot in the past.
Greg, I remember coming up to you and you were still doing it, and I was probably, oh my God, 13, and I'd be like, Greg, it's Nick, and you're like, oh hey man, and I'll give you a hug, and you normally like you didn't talk to like the guests that you were talking to, but like as soon as you talked to like someone you knew, you were like, man, this shit's crazy. Like
9 times out of 10, if someone took a photo, even though they couldn't see my face, I was smiling just out of like, your reflex.
Got the mascot.
If you were to have a little mini camera inside, I'd be like,
how sick was it though? Like, did you like?
It was a great job.
What were the perks of it? Yeah. What was the perks of it?
And in high school, like that was good. Like 10 plus years ago now, I guess. Like, so, you'd suit up, you'd run around.
Suit up.
You'd
Starting to line up.
some great stuff. You had like Gatorade and stuff. The only time when I didn't like it, there's two small stories. One was I had to dress up. We had to draw straws, and someone had to dress up as the Cape Breton Screaming Eagle. They were in town. They lent us their costume, so they put me in the costume, put me in a hockey bag, and dragged me around the ice. Then when they were parading me around the Concord, people, like little kids, kept coming up and like kicking me. Like, this sucks. And the other was they had this guy, no joke, he was in circus school, and he was as Hal for a bit, and he wasn't great. Like one time he ran out and his head came off. And
I was at that game.
I remember that.
So there's a few of those. So one, he was like, he kept trying to like knock me off on the ice, and like you're wearing shoes inside of these like moose feet, and it's not easy to walk around on them.
Your hooves.
These hooves. And so I was like, listen, man, like it's hard to walk around on these hooves, and he kept trying to knock me off, and I said, okay, you do it one more time, I'm gonna take you out. And he thought I was being funny. So he tried to trip me up one more time, and I said, all right. So we did this one where you have to run and do a relay race, and then the participants go and do theirs.
Yeah.
Immediately turned, and I just did this, and it was like 4,000 people, and I ran and I tackled him, and his head came off.
Let's go.
And it rolled off on the ice, and I was like, man, like you need to keep that on better. So I ran over to his head and soccer kicked it back to him. And then he put it back on. And I'm like, imagine being like a 4-year-old and you just saw the moose decapitate Hal and kick his head back to him.
That's fantastic.
Yet that guy was the guy who got booted. So it was a great gig while I had it. And
for the fans, Greg Dobson was the good Mac. The new Mac at the Moosehead games, by the way, guys, is soft. It's soft. Greg was
The old
like
Mac
the
had
tall.
spikes.
Yeah, he was jacked.
Yeah.
Had
He
pipes.
was on roids for sure.
Yeah.
Bro, oh
And
my
like
God.
he had like the ripped jersey. Now it's like a big.
Yeah.
It's like a teddy bear moose.
Kids
Come
were
on, man.
scared
Yeah.
of it. I think that's why they did it. Kids were scared. It was hard to clean too.
Yeah, because you had a white jersey on, didn't you? Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. But it was a good time. Mascotting.
awesome.
If you ever get a
Oh.
chance to mascot, take it. It's
Well,
hilarious.
Greg, I remember you offered me that job back when I was going into grade 9 or 10, and I couldn't do it because I was mascotting for my junior high and I was getting paid. And I asked my boss at the time, I was like, could I do it? And she was like, well, like, no, it's kind of a conflict of interest. And I went,
Can you imagine trying to be serious and delivering that line? It's a conflict of interest. Like mascots shouldn't really mix.
You were a Bedford Academy Bronco. You were a big horse.
Yeah, it was pretty cool though. Greg and I can agree. Mascotting is really fun, but and for the people that are wondering, it is hard as hell to see. You have no peripheral vision, and it can be a real fun night or a real shitty night.
It's the closest I've ever gotten to professional hockey. I wore the jersey. I was in the stadium. I got paid. And
Unreal.
that's as far as I went.
Unreal,
Dude,
man.
I'm pretty sure that like I farted on your lap when I took a picture with you one time. Like, I swear to God. I swear to God. I
People
literally
did all
nervous.
I'm telling you, people did weird stuff. Like people would try to pick me up. And be
Oh
like,
my
hey, like
gosh,
you should go on
bro.
a date with my daughter. And I'm like, you can't even see me under this. And I'm also like 16. Like it's
I'm
weird.
weak at that.
You're in a
That's
costume.
fantastic.
There's some weird stuff
But-
that happens.
Especially
Oh
when you
my
get those
God.
little shit kids that will like come up and kick on you and try to
Yeah.
jump on you
They're
and
like punching
shit.
the nuts. They're like,
Oh, yeah.
feel that? And you're just, oh my God,
Oh yeah.
bro.
Oh,
Definitely.
That's fantastic. I'm so
Yeah.
happy that you
For
said
the
that.
fans, this was Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were like that. You were like that in the stands one time, and I swear to God, I sat on your lap, and like my aunt took a picture.
Oh yeah,
I
man.
swear I farted on your lap. I
had some
swear to
fond
God, that was
memories.
awesome.
Well, you know.
yeah,
That's
I
fantastic.
I remember I was at a Mooseheads game and Greg, you were probably in the costume by then. There was one game I was at and I forget who they were playing, but it was the Ever team. They got a penalty and Mac went down to the penalty box with a window cleaner, sprayed the glass and then wiped it like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I used to try and mess with the goalie on the other team too, and I just like do stuff to like mess with them, and I don't know. Even like some of the like old Mooseheads, you'd have like guys that would be super like they'd be really nice, like Conrad Albertshauser, one of the nicest guys
Unreal.
ever.
Yeah.
Zach Fucali was weird. You had a couple other guys. I stopped literally the year before Nate, and I wish I had stayed and done it that year just to experience what that was like. I'm not saying I'd get a ring, but like I'd be around for the festivities. And that
Greg, you probably would have. The singers get rings. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Anthem
Yeah.
singers, yeah.
Who knows?
Well,
You ever
fuck.
like, you know what?
Unreal.
Okay. I always wondered, you know, the in between the first and second, they put the little kids on and they like play their game. Did they
Timbits.
have that when you were the mascot?
They
The
did,
Timbits,
and
yeah.
I destroyed one child's dream for it. I was goalie, and I didn't mean to do this. And he goes in and he goes to take a shot, and I'm like, these kids can't lift the puck. So I like stick out my leg, and I just wicked pad save with my leg
Yeah.
and just kick it, and it was unreal. And
Yeah.
that kid was like, so upset.
I was at that game. I remember seeing
You just stomped on that kid's dreams, man. Did you see
gotta
I
that?
was so
Yeah.
excited.
Oh, that's
my
awesome.
I
God.
had lots of times where like you'd mess with people and it'd be fun. Like you just would go into character when you do it. And I think even for a couple of games, we got the Mooseheads to like pay us to run around in morph suits. And it was me and my buddy Jared. And that was
Classic.
fun too. But like,
Oh
back
yeah,
then,
I
morph
remember
suits were a
that
big
too.
thing. But it
Wow.
wasn't great. And I've never been in peak physical condition. So like, you know, it was just, it made for a really interesting sight for sure.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah, I
Greg,
meant-
Greg, you're a beauty, bud.
That's
Certified, too.
Oh shit.
Certified
So
beauty.
funny. So funny.
I
What's up,
remember
Susie?
I was at a lot of the Mooseheads games during the original Mac era too. So
That's awesome.
I
That's
was younger
fantastic.
at the time, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All ran into each other.
All right, Jesse,
Yeah.
what do we got next on the outline, bud?
Yeah, that's the next thing.
I was gonna talk about the Avs a bit because I saw a couple days ago there was an article saying they signed an ever former local Nova Scotian Liam O'Brien.
Oh yeah, they did.
Liam,
Yeah, from
Liam
Halifax.
O'Brien.
So they now got like 5 Nova Scotians in their system now with Justin Barron, Shane Bowers.
Hmm.
I think Nate McKinnon is like an assistant general manager there.
Yeah,
Under and you know what it is? He trains with those guys in the summer, but they scrimmage together. And like, so Nate rents the ice in the summer. So he organizes it for like him and Sid, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And they are selective on who gets to go on the ice with them because they want to play with players of a certain caliber. And I don't think it's through the tournament, but like those guys all have been around each other in the summer and have got to know each other a bit more personally through there.
Mhm.
And I know, because of them constantly working together, like Liam's been an AHL guy since he started. But I think he's gotten a few games with Colorado and he's a good player. Like if he gets a chance, I don't know how many like points he scored in the AHL, but he's a good character player on any team and great guy off the ice too.
I think he was with Washington, I think, before, right? I think he was, and he wore 87 too. You think that's because of Sid? I remember.
No, so they don't get to choose their jersey numbers.
Okay, yeah. That makes
Most
sense.
of those guys don't. So he was actually kind of not happy about it because Brashear used to wear that number back in the day and was a big fighter for Washington. And obviously he was like, man, I'm from the same place and I'm wearing 87. Like, can't I pick a different number? But usually when you get called up, you're just kind of given a number. And I don't know what goes into that decision-making process, but it's an interesting thing because I always think of it like from like an NHL 21 or something standpoint. I'm like, okay, what jersey number's available? And I'll pick this one. This one seems cool. But I guess you don't get as much choice if you're not permanently on the roster.
I got a question for Greg too. Did the Mooseheads let you keep the original Mac costume? Or?
No, I was able to use it for like one or two events. There was like a parade I had to do, a Natal Day parade, and that was hot. But I did keep a Mac jersey. So I had a red jersey.
Yeah.
And then there was like a really old red Moosehead jersey that had Mac and number 5 on it. Yeah. And I just took it one day and I was like, I'm keeping this. And I took the jersey number and name off of it. My grandmother sewed it onto my jersey. So sometimes if I go to a Moosehead game, I'll wear my Mac jersey. And there's people who still know me as him like 10 years later, which is crazy.
That's sick, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
I remember we found a Jaguar jersey that was framed and signed. Yeah, that his game worn jersey in like a dusty closet in the Metro Center one time. And I was like, man, can I have that? And they were like, no, like we'll kind of figure out something to do with it, I guess. And I think one guy kept it for himself, but I was like, oh man, what a cool find. Like it was literally just in the back of a storage closet. And like Jaguar was one of the most notable names that came out of the Mooseheads. And
before Nate and Duran and all those boys, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, Duran. That's another interesting side story that really hasn't got. I know it's probably for personal reasons and that sort of thing, but it makes you wonder. Like he had some issues in Tampa, and then I kind of wonder like everyone's always curious like how come that person's gone from the team, but what kind of a difference would he make on the team right now?
Yeah, I thought that when Dom came in as the assistant before Claude Julien got relieved of his duties, I thought that was going to really excel Duran's game. But Duran's a solid player, but I think there is some underlying issues there that aren't coming out of the media, to the fans and stuff like that. But I did think that having Dom especially as the assistant, now the head coach, I thought his game was just going to soar, right? Because he was doing some crazy stuff with the Moose, right?
His one or two, like sometimes guys just fall out of love with hockey when it's a job, right? Like makes you wonder if maybe there's an element of that. Like you've seen it, there was other guys like I forget that first pick for Ottawa back in the day that was supposed to be the next big deal. And
Dag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like guys who you love it, but then if you look at people now, like, and I'm sure you guys can attest to this, like some kids are doing, their hockey all season long, then spring hockey, then summer training, off ice. It's like 365 now. From such a young age. It makes you wonder if people just get burnt out, if they're not like in the upper echelon of skills, maybe.
Yeah, Greg, with bringing that up, with when Jordan was, in the prime of his training, what was that like watching him? Like, you must have just been like a dog, when he was.
It was crazy. Like, I could have never done it. So he would be on the ice in the morning. He'd be at the gym in the afternoon. Then he'd go with JP and a lot of the NHL guys and wear a weighted vest and run up and down Citadel Hill in the middle of the summer. And if he wasn't on the ice in the evening, he'd be doing something else. And then, pretty much did that every day. And it was like he never had a lot of time to himself. And, he didn't eat any fast food, anything. It was like coconut water. He's eating chicken breasts and stuff. And, I love a good chicken nugget here and there, like a burger.
Yeah, we all do.
That's a tough way to do it at such a young age. But you know what I mean? Like if you really want to push for it, you can. And interesting thing is my cousin Ben Boyd, who played for Charlottetown Islanders this year, if you look at him, he looks so similar to Jordan. It's almost eerie, because it makes you wonder sometimes. You kind of almost through his resemblance, you see kind of what Jordan would look like as he got older. He's about the same age or a year older than Jordan was when he passed right now. I think he's 17. And I think he even might be projected. I heard something to go like 180 in the NHL draft. So maybe 6th or 7th round, maybe like he could get picked up. It would be interesting to see, someone with, with a Boyd in the NHL if he's able to crack it. And,
was that for this year's draft?
I think for this coming one, and I don't know what like source it was that projected him at that, but I think that was something that my dad had mentioned.
Yeah,
because Charlottetown had a great season, but he's more of a physical player. I think, from my understanding, I wasn't able to watch a lot of his games, but
he's played for the Charlottetown Islanders for 2 years now.
Yeah, I just looked it up too.
Yeah, he only had 2 games last year, and this year he had 35, that being in a non-pandemic season, playing only the Islanders the Cape Breton Eagles and the Moose. He had 7 goals and 3 assists in 35 games.
Yeah, and I see he played for the Dartmouth Whalers in Major Bantam.
Yep. He's definitely a Dartmouth kid, and if you were to see photos of him, I'm sure Ben and Nick, you'd look at him and you'd see. It's
looking right now, it's crazy. Wow.
Yeah,
he used to come into Lids all the time when I worked at Lids, and actually one day he we didn't wear hoodies, we had like polos and stuff, and he seen my tattoo for Jordan, and I kind of told my relation to you, Greg, and your family, and he's like, man, like I never knew you guys, like why is that? I was like, well, I lived in Edmonton till I was 10, and Greg and I, we're always best buddies, just life and busyness. And that's awesome, man, because I knew he was playing Major Bantam. That's amazing. Good for him. That's awesome. Good boy.
And another thing, Greg, just kind of go back to the the memorial to Jordan Boyd tournament. Like, I think that's such a I don't really know the word, but it's like, I remember the first year that I don't know if it was the first year that the tournament was in, but it was definitely my first year that I was in it. And that's right in September, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like that's right at the start.
Yeah, there's 2 tournaments. There's the Memorial Tournament, which a bunch of teams come and play in. It used to be Oktoberfest.
Okay.
But then we have the one that happens it's usually like late July or like first week in August, where it's like 8 teams, 10 teams, maybe 12 teams, and then depending on how you fundraise, you draft an NHL player to play on your team.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So like Nate's played in it. Brad, we had James Neal one year. Scrivens came down, that sort of thing. But that one, the Oktoberfest tournament, had gotten huge. I think there was like 40 teams one year.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Like it's so unreal to think. Like, as a minor hockey kid, I think I was in that league or in the tournament once. I was in Pee Wee. It was my second year Pee Wee, and like, you're just hyped up because it's like, man, we just tournament right start of the year, like let's fucking go, like all right, we're in it. But it's so you knew that it was, as kids growing up in minor hockey, like tournaments, you don't think about, most tournaments, if not all tournaments, they're made not for no reason. Like there's a reason why this tournament is made. There's a reason why, there's teams coming for this tournament and it's this days because of a reason. And we never really got told why, why is this tournament thing? What is this new tournament? It's just like, oh, boys, tournament start of the year. So it's so interesting to actually hear, like, here's what happened. Here's the story of how this tournament, not only did it start, but just like how well it's doing and how, and as me and Chris and Jesse, like we've played hockey, we've been to so many tournaments, and it just makes you think like, this tournament is unique in itself, but it's also like, man, think of all the other tournaments along with this one that we've been in that have stories to tell themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like we hear this one, like we got the Jess and Chris, the Kyle Henneberry Memorial Tournament, right? Like that's which is now grown even more popular after the passing of Eric Caines, right, our old coach. So rest in peace to him as well. But man, that is so crazy just to know, like, it's a tournament, we played in it, it's fantastic, but it's like just to know the backstory of like why this is here and makes you think of other tournaments and other reasonings for other organizations. Man, that's fantastic, buddy.
Well, it makes you think unreal. Too, like, the hockey community is, everyone talks about how tight knit the hockey community is, but it really is like a family. Like without tournaments and stuff like that, like, I don't think people realize, they participate in it, but in a lot of ways it helps the family who's lost someone be able to deal and grieve. It's, something where, you see something good come out of, someone's name being associated with it, and a way of remembering them in a way through something they love. It helps in that way, but it just goes to show, like, the hockey community is one of the most unique things, here in Canada, but just anywhere, where people are willing to just do whatever they can to help people with whatever it is in order to, just be able to help someone in some kind of way. Someone loses gear, someone, is going through a tough time, someone, might be going through cancer treatment, like those sort of things. It's just countless stories you've seen and things that you even see on Hockey Night in Canada, features where time and time again, if someone is in a position where they need help, the hockey community, it's just part of the code. It, you help out, and that maybe at some point you might be able to do something for someone else. So I think that speaks a lot about, just hockey in general and what exists beyond just the game.
Yeah.
Unreal, man.
Yeah, Greg, speaking on that, buddy, Billy, like, speaking of, not knowing, teams show up to tournaments and don't know the backstory of, names of tournaments, like, that jersey behind Ben and I, that number 17 means the world to, the Boyd family and to Jordan. And, I coach some Mosaic high school team, and, when players get in that number 17, my player who has it right now is Declan Hearn. I did tell him one time, I was like, please wear that jersey with pride, because it was one of my best buddy Jordan's numbers, and it's a family friend. Because, there is kids that don't know Jordan's story, and with Greg's work and, the continuing support that the hockey community has done, it never stops the stories. It never stops his, yes, he's not with us. It never stops Jordan's name being talked about. He's here in spirit, and that's the most important thing. And even for me, like my home rink is Pad D at the BMO at 7:30. I see Jordan's banner up there every night, and I used to play for him, and and I know Ben did as well. He used to coach for him as well, and that's the most important thing, is never forgetting what Jordan did.
And I think selfishly, part of me is excited to see Josh Anderson on my favorite team. So Josh played in our tournament a few years. He's supported us and came down, and this was when he was kind of just off of his Memorial Cup win. Now he's playing for my favorite team. He's having a great year. He's wearing 17.
Yeah,
It's
let's
just
go.
kind of a cool thing where,
And
he probably
abs-
picked
he's
that
an-
number not
yeah.
to do with anything like that, but it's just cool to be able to say,
Yeah.
like, there's just like when I see something like that and you're like, there's a guy that I've met and interacted with and he's, supported Jordan. And he's wearing 17. Like sometimes you see that number and it's almost like it's like a little sign, like, just to make me feel like, okay, I don't know. It's just a connection to Jordan.
Yeah.
It's another thing,
Yeah, amazing. Wow. And by the way, Anderson is an absolute freight train. He's a
Oh
big
my god.
Yeah.
Man, that guy's a legend.
God, man. Way better than Domi. Columbus won.
Oh, absolutely.
Columbus lost that trade for sure.
Yeah.
Domi's his productivity really kind of went downhill after that. Montreal has a tendency to do that in recent years. Like, look at Subban. Like, he's not quite the player he used to be after that arbitration.
What do you mean? 2 points
8
after
point
getting traded? Holy.
Yeah.
Anderson showed up to Montreal, scored like 10 goals. In
He
like
wasn't
5
happy
games and
in
said,
Columbus. Like, I don't think he was happy with the organization. I think he was able to do a lot, on the ice, but I think off ice, from my understanding, it just wasn't the right fit, and he wanted a fresh start, and I think he's taken it and run with it.
Well, even just today, they announced that Seth Jones will not be re-signing with the Columbus Blue Jackets coming off.
Wasted talent there. Getting somewhere else.
Off season. Yeah, I think you're right, Greg. I think it's so interesting too, like kind of what goes on in the back lines of, with these players, right? Like hearing that, Greg, like with Josh Anderson, probably not being happy in Columbus and then, gets a fresh start and a new culture. It's amazing to see, like, right off the bat, Anderson came and contributed so hugely to Montreal, and look at them now. They're going to Game 7 tomorrow night against the Leafs, right?
Well, it's incredible the amount of depth to the side of hockey that you don't see that, in the tournament. Like you get an opportunity to talk to some of these guys and you learn about things and I played in a Heart and Stroke event where Adam Oates was there, and it's just cool kind of like him sharing stories, and you're like, wow, like you think the NHL, and then it's like there's this whole underworld of the NHL that you have no idea exists. And when you learn some of it, you're like, wow, that like would never have guessed. And people probably wouldn't believe you if you said anything about it. And I think one of the things that I've heard just in general is that Columbus as an organization, there's certain ones who they are a business, and sometimes they don't treat their employees well. And it's not just about salary. Sometimes it's other things. And I think they have a history of being cheap and not great towards the guys that in there. And I think that's why people are looking to get out.
Yeah. They lost a lot of good stars, man.
Man, do you guys think, and this is more so, I mean, it's kind of for everyone, but thinking more Ben here, like, and Tortorella's not coming back. They parted ways, but do you think that he's, I don't want to say to blame, but do you think he holds some of that blame for like the Stars, like losing that year that they lost Panarin, Bobrovsky, and Duchesne for literally nothing? They walked. Do you think that Tortorella's to blame because of his coaching style, or is that like more so like in the organization? Like, what do you think?
No, the boys know what Torts is about. Like it's well known around the league. I think it's what happens in that back office. Like Torts, I don't think Torts had the pull that maybe a guy like Quenneville has in Florida, right? I don't think Torts I don't think he has any pull in Columbus whatsoever. The back office just says, here's your guys. You got Domi, you got Jones, you got this guy. We're moving this guy for money and all this stuff. He's kind of just given what he's given. He is an old school coach. He's not a player's coach, but I also have heard on other podcasts and stuff from players saying that like 1 minute he will be a player's coach, and then the next minute he's ripping you a new one. Like he's like, he'll
he tries to motivate. Yeah.
So,
what was that guy? It was a Dubois who had that year where he was doing nothing, and he called him out, and then he comes around and he gets a hat trick. Like, I think there's a difference between a guy like Torts and Babcock, who like the guys were just like, you know what, he's toxic, and he's trying to restart his career in broadcasting, and it's almost awkward to watch him do that.
Really,
it's hilarious.
Really weird.
And like he's a guy who like did great things outside. Like he was a great supporter of like community stuff and that sort of thing, and he had a big heart. but some of that old school coaching stuff
Just
just
doesn't work.
doesn't fly anymore.
No.
I think too, speaking on Torts there, Billy, it's a good question. I watched an interview with Nick Foligno actually a couple days ago talking about Torts when he was there and with Foligno, and he would do like interesting things, like he would send like letters out to all his players before the season, and he would kind of be like, look, like here's my coaching philosophy, and you have any questions, please like contact me. And I think Torts is he's a he's hard on his players, but it's almost like what Greg was saying with Dubois, like it's almost like perfect example, Patrick Laine. Patrick Laine is one of the most interesting players in the NHL. He thinks, I don't know the guy personally, but from what I have seen in the media, he's very cocky, and he thinks he can do more than what I don't know. He's an interesting guy, and I think guys like Torts challenge players like Laine. And it's it'll be interesting how Laine performs next year if he stays in Columbus for sure. But I think Torts is a very honest coach for what he is.
With you on that,
yeah. Going back to what Billy said earlier about us, me, Chris, and Billy playing in tournaments. I unfortunately never got the chance to play in the tournament for Jordan, but I hear lots of people talking about it, and I think it's great that it's getting out there. And I see lots of people walking around wearing hoodies for Jordan and all that, and so I just think it's
unreal merch, right? Unreal.
Yeah.
I actually have
cool. Like I've ran into people who have worn hoodies or t-shirts, and I have no idea who they are, but they have. Like the first year that we did them, I think we got the tattoo that I have. We got that made into the T-shirt.
Yeah.
And there's a photo of Sid signing an autograph with it on, and so it's just like, wow, I don't know you, but my brother's story, and I think that's kind of where it hits home to me, that it's like, okay, well, if my goal was to make sure he wasn't forgotten, or that there was a legacy that was created, to make sure that he lives on some way. I think that would be one of those moments where it hit home to be like, okay, I think we're there.
Amazing.
Greg, you're gonna have to give us the links to donate, and the links to get Jordan Boyd merchandise or any type of stuff like that. Like send that to us. We're gonna chuck that in the description. And I'm literally, as you said that there was merch in my head, I'm just like, all right, well, I'm buying something. I'm getting a hat. But right away I'm just like, I'm getting a hat. I'm getting a hoodie. Like I'm getting it right now. Like
I'd love to grab some merch myself too.
I'll definitely take a look and see what we have left. I know this year we almost pressed pause on it just because of it being golf this year, but hopefully next year we'll be able to announce another hockey tournament. And I think we've built up enough of a reputation that some of the NHL guys really like to come down and be in Halifax, because it's a small city and they don't get as much attention, and can kind of go out and have some fun on the weekend. And I think a lot of the guys like that about coming down here. So I'm hoping that, by Christmas time, we'll be able to say that, all right, 2022, there's going to be another hockey tournament sometime in July or August.
That's crazy, speaking on behalf of the boys, and they're kind of wrapping it up here. Thanks, Greg. You really set the tone for an amazing guest to start out on this podcast. Like I said before in our episode here tonight, you and your family and the hockey community have done an amazing job, promoting heart and stroke and undiagnosed heart inherited diseases. We love you. I love you, man. You're like a brother to me. Same with Ben. We really, really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy day. I know you got a little one coming on the way. Congratulations.
Yeah, stick taps.
Stick taps.
Thanks. Yeah, any day now. So.
But
you bad boy, you.
No, man. I hope
in lockdown.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I hope the lockdown, you're staying safe, and we're on the home stretch here, boys. I got my vaccine coming next week, and
I got mine yesterday, boys. By the way,
let's go.
How's that arm feeling?
It's a little heavy. I'm not gonna lie.
Getting sore, right?
A little heavy.
No, Greg, thank you so much, buddy. I know from the boys here, Billy and Coach Ben and Chris and Jesse, thank you so much, man.
Thank you guys. I love talking hockey, and any chance I get to share a bit of insight into who Jordan was and what we're doing is a great opportunity just to let people know what we're about. So I appreciate you guys having me on, and definitely will be tuning in for some future episodes for sure.
Yes, sir.
Like and follow our Instagram page too, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'll pull that up now so they can see it.
Oh my man, he's on the.
I love that Nordiques hat, by the way.
I know, it's so sick.
That is a nice.
I
That
kind
is
of
a
like
nice.
one.
I like
the Avalanche are my second favorite team. I'm a big Nate McKinnon fan, so
nice.
Yeah.
Well,
so here's our Instagram.
Nice.
A bit blurry in there. The Maritime
There you
Hockey
go. The
League.
Maritime Hockey Podcast.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We'll see if we can get some Nate stuff fired up for you the next time he's, out. If we can get him at the golf tournament this year, I'll see if I can get something signed.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
for sure. I'd love
Oh
that.
boy.
Let's go.
Hey, man.
Clutch.
Greg, quick. How many jerseys you got now?
Okay, so Nick and I are both like big jersey people. I have too many.
Me too.
I do have a lot. You can probably see the my favorite Canadians jersey is the 1915
Always has.
one.
Oh.
I did pick up the blue guy this year.
Baby, look
Oh,
at
let's
that.
go.
Oh, I'm loving that.
That's
Reverse retro jersey.
I have too many. I usually go for like unique ones that come out. But my favorite jersey that I do have is an early Pittsburgh one that I have like right here, and it's they're ones where they had like the white on the bottom, and Jordan wore it when Sid did his first Cup parade and got it signed by him, and there's a photo of him with it. So that one's really special to me. So that one,
Awesome,
sure,
man.
and you can probably see
That's
a couple
fucking
other
sick,
guys.
Yeah, there we
Nice.
are.
Look at that. Hey, show us the mask real quick. You gotta show
Oh
these
yeah,
people the
yeah.
mask.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
let's
I'm
go.
big goalie nerd. So mixed Patrick Lalime, Jose Theodore, Dryden with the stripes, and then Patrick Waugh did the 33, but I did my initials, and then on the back I have Boyd in 17,
Oh,
and
that's
then the
sick.
snow bricks to kind of bring it all together. So
That's
once
fun.
I get the new pads and everything in soon, you're gonna love what those look like. I basically am doing a 1-to-1 replica of Price's rookie gear, the toenail Vaughn's. So it's an exact 1-to-1.
Look at Billy.
Billy's over here creaming his jeans right now. Look at him.
I think I even have a photo of it. I think it should be here in July, but
Greg, you should see me at Pro Hockey Life, man. What the fuck?
I come in all the time. I'm a huge goalie gear nerd, but yeah, this is the exact.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
So
looks
that
so
exact
nice.
set, I figured, you got to look good if you're playing, beer league, right? So
man. Dude.
they come in, I'll make sure
the GoPro.
you guys invite me back when they arrive, and then I'll show them to you on camera.
Bro, you're gonna
There you go.
intimidate the shit out of people with those. People are gonna come
Yeah,
like,
especially
"Oh,
since
dude."
I'm massive, right? So
That's
yeah.
awesome, dude.
But yeah, like I said, Greg, as the host of this podcast, thank you so much for coming on here
Thank
and
you.
sharing
Thank you.
your story about Jordan. I know that's a really special story, and like you said too, if Nate comes down here again sometime and you can pick up some stuff for me, I'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll throw that in there again, right quick.
Yeah, I just gotta launch out.
I will,
Yeah,
I
if
will
you're
definitely
talking
do
to
my
him.
best.
Yeah.
Talk to him.
He's a good guy about that kind of thing. Nate gets a lot of. He's really grown on the ice, but off the ice too, and he's a really great guy. So yeah, I if I can do that for you, I definitely will.
Awesome.
Alright.
Thanks, Greg.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, guys.
Round of applause for Greg.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Stick taps.
See you guys later.
All right,
Hey,
bud.
Greg.
All right,
Hey,
guys.
buddy.
Greg, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jess, you want to give us the outro, buddy?
Yeah, before we do that, I just wanted to mention too that the Avs are going into game 1 against the Knights tonight. Go Avs, go baby.
Yeah, buddy.
And yeah,
Got the Lightning and Canes tonight too, boys. Can't forget about them.
Won
yeah, they were.
right now.
Are they
What's-
playing right now? I
Yeah.
think.
Did they win already?
1-1,
One.
38 in the third.
Let's
Oh,
go.
jeez.
Nice
go.
one.
Hey,
I started
boys,
yelling.
Yeah, that was awesome. Awesome material by Greg, boys. That's
Yeah.
Holy shit, bro.
amazing.
That's
So yeah,
fantastic.
boys, we'll post the links to donate to the Jordan Boyd Foundation and the links for the merch once we get that too. That will be down in the description. So if you guys donate, I know that will mean a lot to Greg and the Boyd family and foundation, and yeah, means a lot, guys, to show your appreciation for him.
Absolutely, boys.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
I think this was a really great episode, guys, and thanks for tuning in. Like we said, be sure to follow our Instagram page. It's _Maritime_hockey_podcast.
Yeah. Credit to Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Coming in clutch with that. Thanks, Ben.
Hey,
He,
I fixed the spelling mistake too. So
yeah, I misspelled Maritime.
Holy
The Maritime.
Jesus.
The Maritime.
The Maritime.
The Maritime. He goes, Chris goes, yeah, you can fix it or don't. Doesn't matter. Like,
It's like, or don't, I don't care.
Yeah. I'll have the link for the Instagram in the description
Yes,
too.
sir.
So.
Honest question,
boys.
boys. Honest question, very quick. Should I wear a new jersey every episode? So this
Yeah.
is my
Could be your
Please.
Yes, I'll wear one.
Yeah.
I got a couple. I'll wear one.
We're wearing jerseys.
I got a few, yeah.
We're wearing jerseys.
I'm gonna start wearing jerseys every episode. I got
Let's
enough
go.
to keep this going.
Let's go.
All right,
Let's
boys,
go.
let's go.
All right, boys.
All right, yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
All right, guys.
Love yous.
See ya.
Peace.
Love you guys. Bye.
Well, yeah.